live, just waiting for it to finish, and here we go.
Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our very first presenter of the convention, my good friend Virgo Triad. I'm going to let her do the honors of introducing herself and what she's involved with. I'm mostly going to be here to ask some questions that occur to me and not to forward questions that come from chat. Virgo, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. First of all, I want to thank you, Kevin, for offering a little bit of time for me to kind of speak out to the group that's going to be watching this. And I just want to say also that I think it's wonderful that you're giving to Save the Children.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, I said thank you. I think it's a very worthwhile cause.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. So basically what I'm going to be talking about today is what I do on my channel, and that is I talk largely about sovereign citizens and those that follow the sovereign citizen ideology. And I'm going to be talking about something that I think a lot of people that follow that group of individuals don't actually pay attention to, and that is the end game. And so stick with me because I'm going to be going over just some very basic information on this group so that people that are watching that are not familiar won't lose me in the process of what I'm specifically going to talk about here. So I understand that, Kevin, you have availability to actually see the chat. So people that have questions along the way, I'll be able to answer those questions.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay, so the Virgo Triad channel was originally set up in order to debunk scams, and there's specific types of scams. The scams that the sovereign citizen groups run, financial scams that get people into trouble when they go into court for things like mortgages, foreclosures, child support. And there's a group of individuals that are across social media that spread a lot of falsities and make claims that you can get out of trouble with these sorts of things. And this includes actual criminal charges against you. They charge exorbitant amounts of money in order to provide packages that don't work. They do nothing for you. They basically cherry pick laws and make it appear to be something that is a secret type of knowledge that's going to provide you with all kinds of help and get you out of debt and all kinds of stuff. Total and complete scams, all of it. And these con artists quite frequently don't even actually know what the end game is of the group itself and why it started. What I'm going to be talking about today has a lot to do with what my channel does on a regular basis. But the question that I continue to get on my channel is, it's great that you're debunking all this stuff, Virgo, and it's wonderful that now we know that they're scams and we won't be spending thousands of dollars with these people. But what is their end game? What is the point? Why are they doing this? A lot of you sit around and you laugh at the videos that are on Van Balen's channel, for example, my channel, Scam Stinger's channel, of these people that get pulled over and claim they don't need a driver's license, they don't need insurance or registration, and then they get pulled out of their vehicles and they end up getting arrested. And it all seems really funny, and it all seems like, why are they doing this? They never win. They continue to do this anyway. You see that out of the sovereign citizen group that is the white supremacist sovereign citizen part of the group. And you see this out of the group that is the black supremacist, the Moors, the Nation of Islam, the other side of the spectrum. And it's great that you can laugh and, it just seems crazy. But what is their end game? And I think a lot of people are going to be very surprised to hear today. I'm going to actually go over what their end game is. It's reported in the news on a regular basis through the FBI, Secret Service, and all kinds of other alphabet agencies that state that their end game is to overthrow the government. And to an extent, it is. But the real end game has to do with a racial war. And that is something that a lot of people don't actually recognize. The sovereign citizen movement was started out of a white supremacy hate movement, and it is ending with that same type of ideology. And no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, no matter what side of the race you're on, if you are a sovereign citizen extremist, then you are someone who is waging for that war. That's why it was started in the first place, and that is how it will end if we don't start to recognize what's going on around us. So I'm just going to real briefly this is actually giving me a warning, Kevin, that's saying that my microphone appears to be noisy, but I don't really know if you're having a problem hearing me or not.
You sound crystal clear to me, so I don't know.
It's really weird. Oh, well, okay. So as long as no one's complaining.
And I think, what am I there? Real quick, I was going to say Teresa Hall Gulf City Piggin says hello.
Oh, hello, Teresa.
As does Sock the puppet just joined us as well.
Hi, Sock. Yes, I love both of them. They're both subscribers to, I believe, both of our channels, and all of the Watchdog
I don't know about
channels.
Sock, but Teresa's been a regular on my chat, so I love her too.
Teresa's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to quickly try to go through this because I want to present both sides of the these parties' arguments, and then I will tie it all together with why this would be important to the people that are watching your specific convention, along with just being human. And this is an important thing for humanity. But in addition to that, if you want to talk evil, okay, if you want to talk about if there are things out there that make or force or add to the aspect of evil, this movement is one of them that would qualify. And let me show you how that happens to be the case. So we're going to start back with a gentleman that has written a book, and the book is called The Turner Diaries. Now, if you've never heard of this before, this book is a racist dystopian novel. And there are copies that you can get just about anywhere at this point in time because of the way things have changed over the last 3 to 4 years. The sovereign citizen movement largely has grown a huge amount from both sides of the spectrum, both the black supremacists and the white supremacists. The name of the person who wrote this book is named William Pierce. He wrote the Turner Diaries in the early 70s, and the Turner Diaries has actually prompted or been an assistant to over 200 terrorist attacks that have actually taken out numerous amounts of people. One of those being Timothy McVeigh and the bombing of Oklahoma City. The Turner Diaries was found in the back of his pickup truck when they actually went back to tow that truck. Also, that was a book that was read and provided the drive for Roger Elvick to come about with the redemption theory, which is the scamming that you see that I'm debunking all over my channel, the scamming of the claim that the government has this special account that is an insurance account or a Treasury Direct account, they call it now, that you have millions of dollars, and it's all because they've stolen your name and used your social security number to sell you on the stock market. Okay, that was the Roger Elvick redemption theory that largely came about because of him reading the Turner Diaries and agreeing with what the Turner Diaries say. The Turner Diaries was all about disliking blacks and Jews. Okay. This was kind of formulated around the Nazi propaganda that would go out to those that were in the Nazi party in Germany. So it reads very much the same if you've ever actually read any Nazi propaganda. The fiction, which it is a fiction, okay, it would have to be in order for it to get not immediately recognized as the terrorist manual that it is, focuses on the rise of the white race. Does that sound familiar to any of you that are watching right now that hear constantly the rise of the Moors? Okay. Now, of course, William Pierce, never being the racist that he was, absolutely never meant for this to be taken over by a black supremacist group. But as sickening as this has actually been taken over by the black supremacist group that now call themselves the Moors online, or that we see online rather. There are reasons behind that I don't have time to go into on this particular call. They have taken over this particular ideology, but I need for you to hear where the basis of it is. Okay. It's all about race. It's all about power, rule, and control of whatever race. And in order to get to one another, there's something standing in between. One particular party and one particular set of politics, worldview that is standing in the way, which means, guess what? Now they have an enemy that is something that gives them common ground. And as badly as they would like to get to one another, there's someone in the middle they have to get through first, and that would be our government. So that puts them in a unique position of having to work together. And that is happening on a regular basis every single day across social media. The most effective way, of course, for them to put out their messages that are false disinformation in order to get people angry and following them like sheep. Those same sheep are the sheep that they are going to mobilize by having them purchase their own weapons. And ultimately, the ending war is exactly what almost everybody in this country does not want. But they're leading people by the nose by making them angry. And all of these scams, all of these things that they do, all of these times that people get pulled over and then follow what they say they can do in order to not get a ticket, that just angers them more, keeps them more engaged, more upset with the government, and eventually turns them into their army. Now, I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how they're keeping people really ticked off from both sides. Okay. So one side is talking about the Turner Diaries, which they never actually really mention, but they're using the Turner Diaries to create basically a manual of terroristic of reasons why terroristic threats or terroristic type of activities should be assumed as being acceptable because of the government, because they've taken this or they've taken that, or what you thought you owned, you really didn't. No matter, it doesn't matter if it's a lie. The end is all that matters to these individuals. So they use whatever they can to get you upset. Now, on the other side, we have them poking at one another. And make no mistake, we've got the Moors, we've got the Nation of Islam, we've got the Black Israelites, and they're all working in the same level. Okay. But then in addition to that, they've even joined together with some of the Scientology stuff. So we have a very large group, and some of them being the very people that they're ready to war against in order to attempt to try to help them to overthrow the government, bringing down anything that would unite anyone together. So the Moors spread this type of thing, not just the scams, but they'll talk about and I'm speaking of the scammer Moors here. The other Moors play a part into this too, but not in the same way, the Temple Moors. So you've got something that's called I don't know how to pronounce this properly sometimes. So Yaqub or Yaqub, I'm not sure exactly which direction it's pronounced. That is where the claim is that all white people were mixed by a scientist that was a Black scientist 600 or 6,600 years ago, who mixed them with Rhesus monkeys. Okay. Which is why now we have an RH factor in our blood. It's 100% bullshit, right? 100%. We know this, but it's a stab at the other side. And it keeps them engaged and understanding where they both stand with one another. But the truth is, they're both spreading the same scams. They're both spreading as much disinformation as possible. And they're both spreading this information in order to keep the sheeple, as they like to call, those of us that are actually doing research on this to discredit us, the ones that will not do their own research, the ones that refuse to listen to any kind of factual based information that are following them, Those people they keep engaged because as soon as there's a government party involved that feels the same way they do, they can implement their plan. Mobilization is currently occurring on both sides, through the militias on the white supremacist side and through the militias on the black supremacist side. So I want for people to pay very close attention, because we now have an administration that is in place that is rolling back a lot of things that are important. One of those things is the funding for domestic terrorism that's been rolled back since 2018. Now we do not have any kind of group in place in our higher levels of federal law enforcement that can keep an eye on these individuals on a regular basis. We now have a group of individuals that are too busy fighting amongst themselves from a political standpoint that they're not even paying attention to what is happening on the outside. The more people that get involved with understanding that these groups are spreading a massive amount of disinformation, and I don't mean just like a little bit. I mean like every other video you come across. It is some form of party that has either watched this group of people, or it is some form of party that is akin to these group of people. And it doesn't matter if it's something as small as talking about mortgage fraud being, the government, and the government needs to be brought down, or the Federal Reserve needing to be brought down, or it does not matter. All of those thought patterns, whether they realize it or not, and I'm speaking of the people making these videos, is a part of the sovereign citizen movement. If you cannot verify it through factual information, factual, verifiable, sourced information, by just actually simply looking it up, you're going to be in a situation to where even if they don't realize it, they are spreading sovereign citizen ideology. It's the reason that we have a problem currently with people believing that they can't trust anything that the government does or says, including the idea that literally everything is a conspiracy. Everything. At this point, there is literally everything is a conspiracy, according to a lot of these channels. Right down to, the current virus that we're dealing with doesn't even exist. The fact that there's no sky, the sky is painted, and we're in a globe, and oh my God, it's a light, not the sun, and nothing really grows. It's not really growing. It's all in the matrix. All of these things are occurring because it is actually a part of assisting in polarizing us more, because that is what has to happen when you attempt to try to bring down a country. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just make one final statement, and then I'll leave to questions. And that is that this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, folks. And if we don't wake up to it and recognize that there are bigger people, wealthier people on both sides of the spectrum here that are pushing this agenda, and the sheep, the people that you see on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram that are making these videos, are just assisting in pushing that agenda and may not even realize what the ending goal is here. If you continue to believe that you can't trust anything around you, that you are so, you can't trust the government, you can't trust your own doctor, you don't know about vaccines. If you are paranoid literally about everything, they've already gotten to you. The disinformation has already gotten to you. Question everything, whether you agree with it or not. Don't leave it alone just because you agree with it. Question all of it. Question the unquestionable. Why is it that you can't question these people? Oh, do your research. That's what you get. Then they're lying to you. They're lying to you if that's the answer that you hear. Finally, let me say that the one thing that these people, these two groups, have fundamentally misunderstood, and chances are they've misunderstood it willingly, is that we are all one race. That's it for me. Any questions that anybody has, I'm happy to answer. And the reason why I'm leaving it at this and leaving 25 minutes for questions is because that was an entire ball of, if you haven't been studying this for the last 4 years, you may not understand the majority of it. But I know a lot of people wanted to know, what is the end game? And there's a lot of people going to be really angry with Virgo today, because that is the end game. That's the end game. It's not about the government. It's only about the government from the fact that you've got to go through the government to get to one another.
I have to say, that's disturbing. I mean, I followed you. I follow Van Balen and Chuck Chases the Facts, and what Common Sense Academy. I was trying to remember the name he switched to, and a lot of the other ones that I hadn't even thought of a lot of what you're bringing up, but it makes sense.
I think that that is too far for most people to wrap their mind around.
Yeah.
But that is the truth. It was born out of white supremacy. It was born out of black supremacy the second time around, which is where we're at now. And now the two are opposing to one another. They've got to get through the government before they can get to each other. They both want land. They both want this land.
So I don't have any questions from the chat yet, but I did have a comment I wanted to share from Sunny. Believe Light Tahiri Bay court case is pending Provost Marshal to arrest prominent Americans to take to Gitmo for life and in some cases death.
Yeah.
I was just watching one of them, the one that has the court case trials on YouTube, I think it is, and claims that they have sent people to get Guantanamo Bay already. It's like, who? Can you give us a list?
Here's something that you guys will find interesting. For those of you that know who Cindy K. Courier is, and for those of you that know who Light Tajiri Bay is, if you go listen to what the video is that Sunny is talking about, and her claim that she can send people to Guantanamo, and you go and you listen to the last video that was put up by Cindy K. Courier, where she claims that she can send the entire 116th of Congress to Gitmo, you will see that those are the two sides of the spectrum that I'm talking about. The white supremacist side would be Cindy K. Courier, and the black supremacist side would be Light Tajiri Bay. And they're saying exactly the same thing.
Yep. Teresa Hall Gulf City Pagan asked, are the 3%ers a SOV group?
The 3%ers are part of the militia side of what I would say is part of the sovereign citizen group. Yes, both sides are going to proclaim that they do proclaim that this is all about freedom, that this is all about, on the white supremacist side, this is all about white freedoms being taken away between the Patriot Act and all this other stuff. That's just a group that is basically pushing for the agenda of becoming part of the alt-right, okay? Meaning that you need to stay largely on the Republican side because of one single thing, and that is because of the fact that the Republicans tend to project more of, do not make government too large, which I agree with, by the way. But we're talking about a totally different type of ideology here. And the truth is that one of the other reasons why the white supremacist group of the sovereign citizens decided that this was what they wanted to project was because this gives them the Christian right also, which is a very large group. And although I probably will be lynched for saying this, the truth is that they already base a whole lot on basic faith.
I can't disagree. I'm a Christian. I don't disagree with you at all.
I know you are, Kevin.
Hopefully this will sort. Okay, folks, I apologize about that. I don't know exactly what happened. It seems like we're back. I've got it working again. I had to start a completely new session for reasons that I'm completely clueless on at the moment. Let me send an email to Virgo real quick with the new link, and hopefully this will straighten it out. Okay, there we go. No, it's... Okay, I had to start a new session of Jitsi because of the technical problems. I just emailed the new link to Virgo, so hopefully that'll straighten it out, and we'll be able to get this back and running. Virgo, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, I don't. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened. The old link just stopped working. We seem to be back up and running, though.
Okay. All right. Well, what I was going to say is, yes, I know that you're a Christian. And remember, please,
Yeah.
to everybody listening, I absolutely am not talking about the normal average person.
No.
I am talking about wingnut extremists that honestly, this has nothing to do with regular Republicans, regular it doesn't have anything to do with a regular person. I believe in freedom of religion. What I'm specifically talking about, this is an agenda, and a lot of people believe it's a political agenda, and it is to some extent, but in reality, the agenda goes much further than that. And that was my point.
And I didn't bring up me being a Christian as a wait, we don't all do this. It was more of there are many, I think most Christians like myself recognize this is a serious problem.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, I'm saying you don't, Christians shouldn't be offended by what you're saying. What you're saying is the facts.
Right. Right. A lot of times people do not like to hear my facts. I dig so deeply. I realize that, it's something that people don't want to deal with. And that's part of why we've gotten to where we're at. People, they want to buy their GMC SUVs, and they want to go to work, and they want to go to Disneyland with their kids, and they want to be happy. That was the whole point of America, but it's under attack more than you realize. And at this point, if we don't start waking up to it, it's going to capture us without us realizing that it's capturing us. It's largely already done that. So for those that sit and laugh at the videos that are humorous because it's crazy what these people are doing, there is a very serious end game to this. And if you think these people are not dangerous, they're very dangerous. So dangerous, as a matter of fact, that they're getting to the general public, that if they understood what was behind all of this, they would not believe it. But all of the disinformation that you're seeing, there's a reason behind it. And maybe sometimes you have a tendency, because you're frustrated with your job or what's coming in financially, that it's so easy to blame maybe the group of people that they want you to blame. And if you don't recognize that a lot of what's being said is not true, and you don't research those things, and you get swept away by that kind of talk, you could be assisting a movement that's going to fundamentally change your country forever.
Yeah. There's one thing I even noticed, I was thinking about when you were talking. You'll hear people talk about how, particularly I've heard a lot of Moors talk about how white people have Neanderthal DNA mixed in, which is absolutely,
yeah.
Sorry, which is absolutely true. What they lie about is, I've heard more say, so white people have Neanderthal DNA mixed in. We're pure. We don't have that. Yeah, they do. Everyone, the entire human species, Homo sapiens sapiens, the species that we are all members of, has a percentage between 1 to 40%, it varies, of Neanderthal DNA inside of their DNA.
Right. That's part of evolution.
Yes.
In addition to that, however, something you guys may not know is a lot of people ask on a regular basis, why do they use the names Elle and Bay? Well, the answer from their side has always been because it is a form of respect. So it means something like sir, or something of that nature, like sir, like saying or Mr. Mears, sir. Okay. But in reality, if you really do the research, the names El and Bay mean God.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
handsome.
It's all geared towards that. Okay, so the group's leaders know exactly what they're saying. They do.
Yeah.
But other people that are following and that are actually spreading the propaganda really don't. A lot of these people believe the Kool-Aid they've drank is the proper flavor, we'll say. All right.
That's the
So,
perfect way
and
to
that's
put
why
it.
you see him go into court and you see him go balls to the wall with this. Sharon Tracy Gale right now, she's in jail. She's been in jail since September. That's the second time in a row, and believes every bit of what she is spewing out to the court that's making her look insane to the court will not serve her in any positive way for her to get back with her children, but instead has the judge ordering competency evaluations and mental evaluations. And when it's all over, they're going to go harder on her because of her doing this. None of it has ever been true. There's not a court case that's ever been won from it, but she's going balls to the wall because she believes that she is standing up for something that is so fundamentally important that she needs to be a martyr for it. And this is how both sides work the same way. These are the sheep. The sheep are the ones that are sacrificing themselves in order to try to further the agenda of some very evil-minded individuals that really want to just wipe each other out.
Yeah, which is sick.
It is very sick. It is very sick. But remember, before they can wipe each other out, they've got to wipe out the government because we need it to be the Wild West. Does that make sense?
Yeah, unfortunately, it does.
So
Like,
there's a whole new perspective. People wonder, why is Virgo like yelling? You know what I mean? Why is she so upset? Well, I'm upset because I know what the end game is. And it's not funny when the end game pops up. And it's not funny when you see that the rule of law in our country is no longer being followed. And it's not funny when you realize that there are people that are in politics right now that feel exactly the same way as one side or the other. So they're pushing for the agenda, which doesn't help us as we the people.
That's a sobering thought.
We have, Marple, who has passed away, but he was a senator for New Hampshire pushing the right to travel stuff, not because he believed it was the law. That's a sign, part of the agenda. The Mercer Group. And now I'm spewing names that are very dangerous. These people are big, big, big in terms of money. And they want to make sure they stay that way. So the hatred is unbelievable in this. It's extremely sad. There are times that I sit and research this stuff and literally will cry because I cannot believe that due to the difference in the color of skin, that these people would go this far, but they are.
And it's such
it's
a
scary.
stupid reason. Who cares?
Well, you and I don't care because that's not the mindset we have. We don't have the mindset.
Beings.
Right. We are one race. We are the human race. That's the way you and I think. But if I was a fundamental threat to your lineage, the way these people think, that they're going to weed you out because they're going to take all your white women. Okay.
Yeah.
All of your white privilege rights that the Moors believe, or the we'll just say the black supremacists believe. It's not just the Moors.
Yeah.
They believe that they're being weeded out for the opposite reason. The races are mixing, and that's what the problem is here. The races are mixing. So it doesn't matter whether that would have stopped, that the hatred would have stopped if interracial dating had not gotten so big, It doesn't the point being that they're going to their lineage, their background, they don't believe that 100 years from now there will be a white man anymore. They don't believe that there's going to stay any kind of purity. And now, if you want to go further than that, we do have to get into religion. So I would prefer not to do that because I don't like to stomp on people's beliefs. But what we are dealing with here are definitely two prominent and wealthy forms of terrorists. There's no other way to put it.
No, the word's terrorist.
And it's scary and dangerous, and it's something we've got to pay attention to. Because if we keep believing that they're just jokes, if we keep believing that they're just funny YouTube videos, if we don't see what's really going on, it's going to slip past us as it has in the past, where we have allowed for senators to become that are part of this group to become a part of our legislation and the processes that are in Congress and the Senate. If we don't stop it now, we will have no country.
Yeah. I make fun. Everybody makes fun of me. You just did the Moorish Mad Libs.
Absolutely.
Because there's definitely room to make fun of it there, but people need to realize that this is deadly. And there's a lot of people involved in this, I think, that don't take it seriously. It's a Hail Mary pass to try and get out of trouble.
Yes. I know there's a lot of people, but the point is that
they're still dangerous.
Yes, they're still dangerous. And it's not just a matter of them just being dangerous. How many hundreds of thousands of people are watching their YouTube videos and even if they don't believe it, they're being submerged with disinformation that is making them distrustful of anything that they're told by not just the federal government, but the banks, the doctors. Let's not believe the doctors. Let's not get our kids vaccinated. Let's let measles run amok. The virus isn't real. So we don't need to worry about protecting grandma and grandpa because we now don't trust anybody.
I don't want to bash on religion either, as you know, that's not my thing. But there's a Christian preacher who was telling people Corona isn't real, where God will protect us, who just died from the coronavirus.
I know it. It's insane.
And
real quick. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say real quick, I'm keeping time for you now.
Yeah.
Real quick, we only have a couple of minutes for questions. If anybody wants to throw anything in, Sock is very knowledgeable. Teresa's very knowledgeable. Sunny is also very knowledgeable. If you're watching and you want to throw anything in, or if you have any questions, because I don't want Kevin to have to run late just because of technical difficulties here.
And if you're, those of you who came to see Virgo, I totally appreciate that. Virgo's amazing, which is why we have her here. Do stick around. John French, our next presenter, is a lot of fun. He's going to be reading some of his fiction. He's a phenomenal writer. And we have more cool people coming up as well. Sunny said, and I agree completely, we both agree completely, it is real.
It is real.
Yeah.
It is real. And that's the scariest part of this whole thing, is that by breeding distrust in every single government entity or any entity that has a corporation abbreviation behind it, means that leaves you with nothing. And the minute that people begin to feel they have no control, now you've got caged, cornered animals, angry. Yeah. And that's exactly how they want you.
And keep in mind, neither you nor I are saying you have to trust everything the government tells
you. No. Research everything.
Yeah. Trust but verify is a great thing.
That's it.
And realize as well, and this is important, conspiracy theories, and this qualifies, run in packs. People who believe in one are more likely to believe in more.
Correct.
just like you've been saying, a lot of them are anti-vaxxers. A lot of them are, I don't know if they have a formal name for it, but anti-COVID idiots, I think is probably the best name I can
That's a
think
good
of for
one.
that conspiracy.
That's a good
A
one.
lot of them are flat earthers. And there's videos of flat earthers. Though I love the one video of the guy who's in the DMV, I think it is. Oh no, he's in the post office trying to get him letters sent without paying postage, and he just starts spouting out off flat Earth arguments.
There you go.
Randy Knackhole also just said hello, by the way.
Oh, hey, Randy. Thanks so much for showing up, and I appreciate the support. You guys, please continue to support Kevin. He does an incredible job, and I love him so much. This will be my third or fourth time of being with you, Kevin. It was very, very pleasurable for me. I hope that I did a good enough job for you as your first
I think you did a
speaker.
great job.
Well, you're awesome.
I know that Saturdays are difficult for you, but I do want to extend the invitation. At around 8:15 EST tonight, we're doing the general throw everybody in hangout. And please remember, you are welcome to join us for that.
Okay, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I'll do my best to try to make it.
If you can, I totally understand. I mean, we all have lives.
Yes, we do. But I'll do my best.
Okay, and I see that our next guest has joined us.
Hi, John.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. So I'll be listening to you.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Virgo. Okay, before we get started with John, I want to stop the stream so I can start it again. That way we have individual videos, so if people want to come back and watch it later, they can go right to who they want to watch. But it'll only take me a second or two. John, you don't have to do anything, just sit tight. And folks, we'll be back in a minute. Like I just said, we're going to be switching to a new video. That way, if you want to watch this next week, you can actually go and watch it. Go right to John or right to whoever you want to speak to. Or listen to, I should say. Excuse me. Copy. Save. Stream.